In 2023, New York and Connecticut's Appalachian Trail brought us trail closures, flash floods, and eventually roaring waterfalls and fun trail towns. Hey, what's up? It's Mike R. here. In 2023, I section hiked 1,225 miles of the Appalachian Trail with my wife and dog, Jill and Cotopaxi, which is the AT, the longest footpath in the world, and we spent 13 weeks day hiking, working, and van camping as we moved up the trails slowly from Georgia to Maine. In this series, I'm covering each section we hiked, and in this video, we're doing a northern section in the state of New York and a southern section into the state of Connecticut. If you're heading northbound on the Appalachian Trail, STORMVILLE, New York is located at mile marker 1,440.8 on the 2023 AT, and the town of Salisbury, Connecticut is at mile marker 1,508.5. It's about a 67.7 mile stretch. Covered in 4 days. You're going to gain 13,600 feet of ascent and have 13,700 feet in descent. New York, Connecticut Appalachian Trail section hike need-to-knows. The famous Metro rail line stop near Pawling, New York is along this section. If equipped and ready, you could stop and take the train to Harlem right off the AT. New York has a lot of access to gaps and trail towns. Towns are quite friendly, but definitely more for those ready to be platinum blazing, aka you're going to be staying at inns, bed and breakfast instead of hiking hostels. Pawling, Wingdale, and many more are discussed as great trail towns, but you do need a little bit of a budget to stay there at times. The waterfall along the small town of Falls Village, Connecticut in this section was wildly high due to the recent flash floods. I had not seen such a ripping waterfall above normal levels quite like this really in my entire life. We'd just gone off trail for 4 days due to the flash floods, and this was one way we saw the impact immediately. Speaking of that, Bear Mountain was actually closed due to the flooding in 2023 for the rest of the year on the AT. So you might want to check the AT New York page for updates for its future status. The AT also goes through a zoo here, and it's one of the few non-dog friendly portions of the trail. This is slightly south of the section that we're covering in this. We camped at Sylvan Lake Beach Park in Hopewell Junction, New York, and the day we hiked our miles in Connecticut, we eventually drove into Massachusetts for our next place to stay. There weren't any easy or more direct routes to the gaps on this portion of the trail. If you want to stay close to the trail on a budget, backpacking the shelters is the best option. What else happened that was a little memorable during this section hike? We returned to the AT after a several-day hiatus, as I mentioned, when hikers were asked to stay off the trail due to the flooding, particularly in Vermont and New York. You could tell the trail and the land needed humans away from it to recover even many days later. New York's rail line stop and trail towns were super fun to experience, and while I love New York City, it was yet another great way to experience the state in a different way thanks to the AT. We ran into hikers that had pushed mentally through more tough days of trekking than at any other time I saw on the trail all summer and fall. Seasoned hikers were leaving the trail permanently because of how hard the trail was becoming. Seeing the mental challenges will always stay with me. Finally, the hikes in Connecticut were the best hiking conditions we had in the previous 3 weeks, and I'll never forget how epic 70 degrees and sunny and dry felt on my feet and on my mind. This was a touch and go time on the trail for us and this entire section, for anybody who was out there with us. I stopped putting totals on how many miles we would hike in a day and even halted the idea I would make it from one spot to the next. The trail had parts that were impassable and detours were required. Felt as though we went from the heat wave into the flooding into going backwards, because literally we had to get a hotel in Scranton, Pennsylvania after leaving New Jersey during the floods, and I was feeling challenged. It looked more bleak ahead in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. We even toyed around with the idea of heading up to Atlantic Canada for a few weeks in the van to let everything cool down and the mud clear out. We were a smidge ahead of ourselves, of course, but looking back on this section, I'm reminded of both the beauty and the challenges a longer hike requires. We hiked in conditions we used to not hike in. We had to shift our mindsets and refocus on small steps and the gift that a hike like this is, regardless of how many miles you get in a day. This section of trail in New York and Connecticut will give you an everlasting shifted impression of these two states. Prepare to backpack or bring your wallet. Platinum blazing is fun if you can swing it, I bet. This section of trail could be done 3 to 4 bigger days with better weather conditions, I think, or maybe 5 or 6 days with the conditions we had, the way the trail was for us. Our pace slowed down and it was achingly hard. Thanks for watching. Happy trails to you, whether you're planning a through section or day hike, or you're a Trail Town local, angel, or just someone wanting to learn more about the longest footpath in the world. I hope the AT gives you what you need. Don't forget to leave no trace and pack your 10 essentials. Until next time, Mike R. signing off.